Hello everyone, good morning everyone. I hope you all are doing well and I hope you all slept well, and even if you didn't sleep well, then that is still okay, because I think today's episode is for you. Because right now it's about 5:30 and I woke up and I felt I couldn't fall asleep again. My sleeping problem, I think, started mainly in the university in Sweden, because in Sweden the high school doesn't have as much pressure as it has in Taiwan, but university can still be quite tough, and with all of the exam and the pressure of the master thesis, all these kind of things, I felt that my sleeping was getting worse and worse, and some nights I was only getting some few hours of sleep, and I didn't really have any tool to deal with this. But then my sleeping problem continued, and I was an engineer, and even now as a YouTuber sometimes I have sleeping problem. But during this time I have also found a few things that works, at least for me. I thought in today's video I want to share my 5 advice for sleeping better. I think a lot of people who have sleeping problem, they have this problem that when you lay in your bed and your head keeps spinning, you know. So if you get to that stage, it can be very hard to fall asleep. So it's better to try to do something before you get to that stage. My first advice is, throughout the day, try to get at least some kind of exercise and some kind of sunshine. And I find out that the exercise that works out the best for me is running, because it makes my whole body very tired, or even swimming also makes me very tired. If I can't do anything of this, then at least taking a walk in the day, or maybe do some kind of yoga, or some light, exercise. I noticed this is a really huge improvement on my sleep. My second advice is to try to create a relaxing environment, especially, the 1 hour before you go to sleep. And this is something that myself sometimes I have an issue with, because I really like to play video games, but I find if I play video games very late, when I close my eyes, I still see all of those things going on in the video games, and it's very hard for me to fall asleep. So I try to, not use my phone anything 1 hour before going to sleep, and also not use any other electronic device. Instead, what I do is that I put on some audiobook. These days I'm listening to Harry Potter, and I find it to be a very good way to fall asleep, because your mind goes somewhere totally else. You are thinking what those wizards are up to, and before you fall asleep you just think maybe what Harry Potter is gonna do tomorrow, and it's very it gives you some kind of peace in your mind and stop you thinking about your daily activities. The third advice is, if you have a very noisy environment, or you have a lot of lights or stuff, I have a little princess sleeping bag. I recommend that you also make one. And what I have is, I have a eye mask. Actually, I have two eye masks, and of course earplugs. And for me, I can probably sleep without the eye mask. It's not a very big problem, but I always need to have the earplug, especially if I sleep next to Charlie, because she tends to snore a little bit. I don't want to call her out, maybe I snore too. But since she snores, and also sometimes we hear some noise from traffic, so I try to always sleep with the earplugs. If I find out that I cannot really fall asleep in the bed and my thoughts keep spinning in the night like this, I just try to get up from the bed and go and sleep on the sofa. And for some reason, I am a person who sleeps really, really well on the sofa. So I don't mind at all sleeping on the sofa. For example, this night I slept on the sofa, and I woke up a little bit early, but still my sleeping quality was okay. I also find, of course, that caffeine will really mess with my sleep. And of course, a lot of people know you shouldn't drink coffee before you go to sleep. But caffeine actually is in a lot of things. It's also in tea, it's also in chocolate, it's also in Coke. So I try to avoid all of these kind of things. It also really depends, because sometimes my sleeping quality is kind of better. Then I can drink some coffee in the day, it doesn't really matter. But other times, my sleeping quality will be kind of shit. And then I really try to stay away from all of the things that have caffeine. I also find that alcohol, I can usually drink like wine, like 1 or 2 glasses in the evening. It's not a big problem. And I know for some people even they sleep better after alcohol, but I'm not gonna recommend this as a way to sleep better. As soon as I start drinking beer, for some reason, my sleeping quality becomes really shit. I don't know why. So when I sleep better, I also try to stay away from alcohol. My next advice is if you get very few hours of sleep per night, like maybe you only get 4 hours of sleep or 2 hours, or maybe you don't get any sleep at all, and then in the weekend, you sleep a lot, like 10 hours or 12 hours just to catch up on all that sleep you have missed throughout the week. Then my last advice is to do something called sleep restriction therapy, and this is that you set in the beginning a very, very strict sleeping schedule. Like maybe you start to go to bed at 2 in the night and you decide to wake up at 7 in the morning, so you only get 5 hours, and the first night maybe you only get 2 hours, but still you stick to this schedule. After 2 hours you get up at 7, then the next night maybe you can sleep between 2 to 7, or maybe you fall asleep at 4 to 7, and then the next night you stay with the same schedule, only 2 to 7, and you really force yourself to get up, and you don't take any naps during the day, and even during the weekend you stay with this very restricted sleeping schedule of only 5 hours per night. And when you notice that this is starting to work, that you can keep the schedule of 2 to 7, maybe you still will feel really, really tired. I know 5 hours of sleep is not so good, then you can extend it a little bit. Maybe you go to bed at 2:30 and you still get up at 7. I find keeping the same time of waking up is quite important, and then you can kind of expand it and get more hours as you notice your sleeping quality is getting better. And for me, this kind of to restrict your sleep and not catch up on your sleep and not do any naps really kind of helped me to get on schedule. And right now my sleeping schedule is to go to bed at 1 in the night and get up at 8, so I get my 7 hours now, which maybe is not a lot, but still for me it helps me function quite well. And then some mornings like today I wake up a bit earlier and it's not so good, and some nights still I have problems sleeping, but in general this helps my sleeping quality quite much. So this is a very common problem. People tend to not really speak about this, but if you talk with your friends and your family, I find out even other YouTubers here in Taiwan have a similar problem to what I have. I think especially these days with social media and your phones, and we are always active, and I know also that the working climate here in Taiwan is very, very tough. So, and I hope in today's video you find some new advice that can help you. Finally, I want to say that if you have some advice on how to fall asleep, please share it below. Also, I have a lot of other advices, but I thought today I want to focus on the 5 things that really, really helps me a lot. But if you have something else, please feel free to leave a comment or share your story of sleeping good or sleeping bad also in the comments. And if you subscribe to my channel, it really helps me a lot, so feel free, if you like it, to subscribe as well. And yeah, that's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. See you all next time. Bye bye.